They used to call it a squirrel cartridge and laughed it off as backyard plinking fodder. They figured a rimfire round could never sit at the grown-ups table beside 9mm or 45. But they now realize they were wrong. In this video, we'll talk about why those folks are suddenly rechecking their ballistics charts and emptying store shelves of 22 WMR. Stick around, because by the time we're done, you'll see how a cartridge born in 1959 grew fangs sharp enough for modern urban survival and why it may deserve a slot in your carry rotation, your bug-out bag, and your varmint rig all at once. When Winchester rolled out the Magnum rimfire, the idea was simple. Give small game hunters a longer reach than 22 LR without the blast and weight of centerfire. For decades, it filled that role quietly, and most shooters never bothered to ask if it could do more. The answer finally came when ammo engineers began building purpose-driven loads instead of repackaging the same thin-jacketed hollow points from Grandpa's tackle box. Hornady, Speer, Federal, Norma, and CCI took the same lessons learned from high-pressure service calibers, controlled expansion, bonded jackets, barrier testing, and shrank them into rimfire dimensions. Once those loads hit the shelves, gun makers followed suit with platforms that actually run them reliably. Federal's 45 grain punch is the poster child for the new era. Nickel-plated cases glide out of cylinders and chambers even after a long day at the range, and the deep hollow point drives to FBI spec gel depths from a 2-inch barrel while keeping 1-inch groups from a 16-inch carbine. A 50-round box lists at $26.99 yet outperforms bargain bulk packs that cost almost the same once you factor in misfires and keyholes. Hornady's 45 grain critical defense, about $17 for 25, delivers the same 1,000 feet per second velocity from a snub nose, but adds a red flex tip that guarantees expansion through denim without nose clogging. Speer answered with a 40 grain gold dot tuned for short barrels, rated at 1,050 feet per second, retailing near $19 for a box of 20. 3 different companies, 3 independently validated gel tests, and every one of them proves that 22 mag will punch 12 to 15 inches while doubling in diameter. The hole may start small, yet it gets ugly fast. Reliability always comes up next. Rimfire priming compound lives in the case rim instead of a separate primer cup, so uneven distribution used to mean click-bang roulette. Modern automated priming has closed that gap, but I still treat the platform honestly. In a semi-auto pistol, you're leaning on magazine feed geometry and extractor tension. Add a thin case rim and fouling, and you can get stoppages you won't see in centerfire. That's why I partner rimfire with mechanisms that forgive single-round failures. Smith & Wesson's model 351C gives you 7 shots on a J-frame and weighs just 11 ounces unloaded. If one round refuses to ignite, a second trigger press skips it cleanly. The aluminum frame keeps recoil nearly non-existent, so even arthritic shooters can empty the cylinder rapidly. Street price hovers around $750, steep for a pocket pistol, yet lighter than any centerfire analog with that capacity. When size isn't the prime authority and you want real sight radius, I lean on the stainless Smith & Wesson 648. MSRP is $829, and you get an 8-round K-frame running a 6-inch barrel, fully adjustable sights, and near-zero muzzle rise. Paired with Federal Punch or Hornady VMAX, it prints sub-2-inch groups at 25 yards offhand and keeps coyotes honest beyond 50. Ruger's single-action single 9 sings a similar tune with 9 chambers, gorgeous walnut, and a 6.5-inch pipe. It retails at $870 and soaks recoil until follow-up shots feel like double-clicking a computer mouse. Semi-auto fans have new toys too. Walther broke the big-name barrier with the WMP, listing at about $540 but running as low as $470 in real-world shops. It feeds from 15-round magazines, comes optic cut, and incorporates Walther's clever quad-release system, paddles and buttons on both sides, so southpaws don't need an aftermarket fix. On my bench, it cycled Hornady Critical Defense and CCI TNT Green without a single hiccup in 300 rounds. Recoil impulse feels closer to a gas-operated 22 LR rifle than a pistol. That means rapid pairs land inside 3 inches at 10 yards, even when shot by newcomers. Kel-Tec's PMR-30 pushes capacity further. 31 rounds of 22 mag in a gun that weighs under a pound empty almost sounds like science fiction, yet real owners have been carrying it since 2010. The current optic cut model sells around $370 and includes high-vis fiber sights out of the box. Critics call it toy-like, and the polymer flex does feel odd after a steel 1911, but the gun flat works if you respect its ammo preferences. Load it with lightweight 40 grain or less, tap the mags to seat rounds fully, and you'll enjoy 30-round strings ringing 10-inch steel faster than you ever managed with a 9mm. All that firepower is wasted if shots don't connect under stress. Here's where physics quietly crowns .22 Mag the king of controllability. A typical 9mm micro has 4 to 6 foot-pounds of recoil energy. A 2-inch .22 WMR snubby sits near 1 foot-pound. That difference may not matter from a bench, but dump adrenaline into the bloodstream, and every little twitch becomes a flyer. Lower recoil lets ordinary shooters land faster follow-ups and place rounds precisely where they matter: heart, spine, central nervous system. The cartridge may start with less energy, yet 2 hits in the same cardiac triangle beat 1 miss with a so-called man-stopper every day. Energy isn't everything anyway. A study of more than 1,800 documented shootings by Greg Ellifritz showed .22 long rifle produced a higher percentage of one-shot stops to the torso than .40 S&W. The reason? Penetration and shot placement outshine raw energy. .22 Mag keeps energy above 100 foot-pounds from 2-inch barrels and well above 300 from 16-inch rifles, while meeting that FBI 12-inch depth standard. That means you get both reach and blood loss potential plus easier handling. Penetration worries go the other way too. Urban defense means walls, neighbors, thin drywall between bedrooms. A bonded 9mm might exit an attacker and still have juice to cross 2 rooms. Federal punch in .22 Samurai. WMR generally stops inside the attacker's body or the wall behind him, while still giving adequate depth. Less risk to your kids sleeping across the hall is worth considering. Ammo cost and availability round out the argument. Even with inflation, 50-round boxes of quality .22 Mag remain below $30, and bulk packs dip closer to $20 when sales hit. That works out to 40 to 60 cents a shot for premium defensive loads, about half the price of similar quality 9mm hollow points these days. Training with the actual load you carry therefore hurts your wallet far less, so you'll practice more and shoot better. The round also rides under the radar of most legislation. Politicians chasing weapons of war rarely notice a rimfire, leaving shelves stocked when panic buying empties every 9mm bin in town. Rewind to the reliability debate one more time, because that's every commenter's first objection. Yes, rimfires misfire more often, yet the real numbers surprise critics. Lucky Gunner's ongoing ammo survey shows quality .22 WMR fails roughly once per 500 rounds. Centerfire primers fail about once per 1,000. That difference translates to 0.1%. Stack that against the chance you'll ever need your gun at all, itself a fraction of a percent, and the reliability gap shrinks into statistical dust. Besides, modern revolvers erase the stoppage instantly, and semi-autos train out of it with standard tap rack motions. Weight and capacity matter just as much when you're the one lugging groceries through a dim parking garage. A loaded PMR-30 weighs barely 20 ounces. Compare that to a 17-round Glock 19 tipped at 30 ounces. You gain 13 extra shots, yet shed 10 ounces. Less weight on the belt means more comfort and higher likelihood you'll actually carry instead of stashing the gun at home. Noise and flash influence survivability too. Firing a 9mm inside a car or hallway turns ears into instant fuzz. Follow-up communication suffers, and so does situational awareness. .22 Mag from a 4-inch barrel still rings, yet the concussive blast drops dramatically. Add a suppressor to a threaded Henry Frontier lever gun or Ruger American rimfire target, and you can defend livestock or pick off rooftop pests without waking the block. Subsonic loads like Federal Punch from a suppressor keep muzzle noise below 140 decibels into the hearing-safe range. Now consider logistics during extended emergencies. Each loaded 25-round PMR magazine weighs under 7 ounces. 5 mags give you 125 rounds ready to roll for just over 2 pounds. To carry the same total energy in 9mm, you'd pack 8 Glock mags at almost 4.5 pounds. The extra weight might feel fine on a flat range, but hike 10 miles with a med kit, water, and food, and you'll wish for lighter cargo. The cartridge also doubles as a survival hunting round. Hornady's 30-grain VMAX leaves a rifle at 2,200 feet per second and vaporizes prairie dogs, raccoons, even coyotes out to 100 yards. Federal's 50-grain small-game hollow point runs 1,530 feet per second and drops tree squirrels without destroying meat. One ammunition type handling both two-legged and four-legged threats streamlines the bug-out kit. Norma's 40-grain JHP, selling around $21 per 50, is a true jack-of-all-trades. Reliable expansion in varmints, good penetration in gel, and decent accuracy in every barrel length I've tested. Ammunition innovation even reached the eco-compliance crowd. CCI's 30-grain TNT Green provides lead-free legality in states like California while still launching at 2,050 feet per second. When laced into a Kel-Tec PMR-30 carbine, you can run a quiet, high-capacity, low-recoil package that satisfies restrictive wildlife regulations yet remains entirely lethal on marauding dogs or thieves. Firearms variety keeps expanding. Ruger's Super Wrangler retails at $330 and ships with dual cylinders for 22 LR and 22 mag. Training all day with penny-cheap long rifle, then swapping to WMR for trail carry saves cash and builds muscle memory on one trigger and sight picture. Taurus Tracker 992, listing at $777, pulls the same trick in double action flavor, swapping 9-shot cylinders with the press of a button. That modularity shines when ammo shortages strike. You run whatever you can find without changing holsters. Speaking of holsters, many K-frame leather rigs built for a Smith 686 will cradle a 648 with minimal adjustment. Pocket holsters, sized for J-frames, swallow the 351C. The PMR-30 fits standard P17 nylon rigs, and the Walther WMP drops into Glock 34 duty holsters after minor heat gun tweaks. You won't chase unicorn gear on obscure forums. Mainstream accessories are ready. Skeptics might ask why law enforcement or the military don't adopt 22 mag if it's so capable. Context answers that. Uniformed officers must defeat autoglass, car doors, thick winter clothing, and sometimes body armor. Infantry demand barrier blindness and maximum range. Civilian defenders face soft targets at conversational distances in cluttered apartments. Overpenetration, blast, and recoil matter more than barrier defeat. 22 mag covers that niche perfectly. It's not about replacing 9mm service pistols, it's about giving armed citizens an option that balances power with control better than any centerfire mouse gun. Real incidents reinforce the point. In 2021, a 70-year-old Ohio homeowner used a North American Arms 22 mag mini revolver to stop a daylight intruder with 2 rounds to the torso. The attacker fled, collapsed blocks away, and later died in surgery. Police recovered both bullets lodged near the spine. The shooter remained uninjured, and no neighbors reported hearing gunfire even though windows were open. Lower muzzle blast likely bought precious seconds to call 911 and give clear information under stress. Another case out of Florida involved a ranch hand using a Ruger Single 6 22 Magnum to defend livestock from 2 feral dogs. One well-placed shot dropped the lead dog instantly. The second ran 50 yards before expiring. The same revolver later dispatched a rabid raccoon without ricochet risk to surrounding buildings. Experience guides my own preference for rimfire revolvers on the trapline and semi-auto carbines around the homestead. The guns ride light, stay controllable when adrenaline spikes, and let me carry triple the ammo count of a centerfire loadout for half the weight. Critical defense rounds stack in the cylinder for town visits, and VMAX fills the rifle mags for pasture patrol. The transition from one roll to another requires no new zero or recoil adjustment. Cost, comfort, capacity, and capability converge on 22 mag like nowhere else in the handgun world right now. Polymer-tipped bullets give controlled expansion. Nickel plating, bonded jackets, and strict QC solve the ignition puzzle. Modern pistols and revolvers offer capacity and convenience once limited to centerfire. For citizens who carry more than stand guard and body armor, the old arguments against rimfire have worn thin. The 22 Magnum, once maligned as a rodent round, now gives ordinary shooters the power to put accurate, penetrating shots on target faster and with less recoil than any mainstream centerfire. Its ammunition stays affordable, its blast stays bearable, and its gear keeps expanding. Those are qualities worth betting your life on when the alley turns dark or the grid goes down. Have you already made room for a 22 mag in your kit? Maybe you run a PMR-30 in the truck, a 351C in the pocket, or a stainless 648 on the nightstand? Let me know what model has earned your trust, or what's holding you back, in the comments below. Tap the like button if this rundown challenged some long-held beliefs, share it with a buddy who claims rimfire can't stop a threat, and smash subscribe so you catch the next myth we bury 6 feet under. Thanks for watching.